Okay, I'll start the lap. It's the same thing as last walkthrough. So I did this lab in the hot lap mode, 21 degree air temperature. So optimal condition for the racetrack. So I'll go through, look at the input for throttle, brake, steering. Pay attention to the steering through Eau Rouge, Raidillon. Um, After that, we'll go corner by corner. And if you have any question during the walkthrough, just ask. You could ask the question during the walkthrough. I don't mind. So let's start with the inside camera and go to the lab. All right. It was a 216.5.
Oh, damn.
And we'll go try to analyze.
Congratulations on the time, if nothing else.
Thank you. So we'll go through the lab, try to find you some time. There are some corner here that you could gain a lot of time or lose a lot of time on this track. So we'll go to the first one to we'll go to La Source and see. So all the will braking reference like usual for car, different field of view, different cam. Your breaking point will change, might not be the same thing as me. And for this track, I tested a little bit. I went a lot lower on brake bias to try to lower it, but it could be tricky on braking sometimes. So all those things could change the breaking point, but in general, it will be close to those. Into the first corner, breaking point is the 100-meter board, or there's this patch of grass that is this one that you could see is pretty much aligned with it, and I think probably in these graphic setting you can see it. So when I'm inside, brake, just go slow. When I get to the patch of ground that's lighter and at 100-meter board, I pass a little bit on the 100-meter board, then I'm on the brake. And for this corner, you'll try to, if you are able to a trail brake, it will help a lot on this corner. Do it a little bit on McLaren, but McLaren's doesn't really like the trail brake, but it's still doable a bit on the first corner. So,
Can we go outside the car for just a moment and see how far you actually are away from the 100-meter board because what I do is I use outside or the left side window. Okay, there is that much distance. Okay, so you're what about 130 or so?
Yeah,
maybe a little less. Okay.
That, yeah.
Yeah, because when it starts to appear inside my left driver's side window is when I usually brake.
Yeah, you could see on my left, at least on the McLaren it's tiny, so it will depend on the car. That's where you could start to brake. So let's just go slowly to the first corner. So brake hard in straight line. Use all the track that you could use. And then you're gonna start rotating and releasing the brake. Try to trail brake a bit. And you go as close as you could to the wall on the right. Just turn, and then you're back on throttle really early. So you need to be back on throttle to finish the rotation in the corner. So I'm just gonna go slow and check where I'm starting to. Done, and at the apex, I'm gonna be back on throttle. If we go outside.
So basically you're trying to steer with the rear wheels again?
Yeah, using a lot of rotation of the car. With the McLaren, I'm using a lot on corner exit to finalize the turn. So like pretty much at the apex, I'm starting back. Mid corner, I'm already on throttle. And then I'm already full throttle here. So for the exit, try to not go on this curve on the left. Every time I go on it, it just like kill my speed. It's probably just too bumpy and trigger the suspension's traveling, something happen, but I'm just losing speed if I go on those. Because some people, if we watch a live track, they probably go on this yellow sausage, put the wheel tail to get some grip, but it seems that when I go on the red and yellow curve, just losing speed. So I'm trying to not touch it. So we'll see. We'll go close, but I'm trying to not go on it. Now it's fully flat for a long turn. Every car in the game could do Eau Rouge Raidillon flat. I think the only one that needs some setup, play on the setup to make it happen is the GTR. I think all the other car could do it with the aggressive preset. So it's doable. The trick is the line, and watch it one time.
And a lot of guts.
Also, so the line is very important here. So why we could do it flat, we're using the track limit that we have. So when you get to the bottom of it, cut as much as you can on the left. You could even cut on the concrete as it is there. But when I try in the McLaren, every time that I Go
Are you
to
guys done?
no,
Oh.
I'm just starting. So if I cut too much, I go on the concrete here with the McLaren. It tends to bottom up, and then I lose my arrow, and I have hard time to do the first corner. So I try to get as close as I could, so that way I don't bottom up. So take advantage. I don't think you'll get if you're not going on the grass on the left. I don't think you will get a track cut here and never get it. If it happens somewhere, we'll be on the top. So go as left as you can, and then you go. You're gonna go on the right. Don't want to go on this curve. You could touch the beginning of it because it's like flat. It's just like continue the road. But if you go here, then you're probably gonna end up in the wall on the top. So on the top here, this is where we cut. I'll show probably another replay that I'm doing better in this section. I'm doing it better. So you try to you're gonna cut it so much that the corners do not exist anymore almost. Your steering should be pretty much flat here, so you will cut it, and then you're gonna make the last left turn at the end. Like when you're starting to be here, you're gonna turn left, but before it's pretty much a flat steering wheel.
You're basically straight lining the whole entire hill.
Yeah, we'll go inside slowly. This run is it's not the best. I have other run I might be on this one that doing a lot better. So going, turning early, go right beside the, and then here you're gonna straighten up your steering wheel, and you could cut it. That's still a. This was not a cut, so let's see. Let's go see.
I would say from outside the car, it'll look like one, but obviously it's not.
No.
Holy smokes.
So you could cut a lot.
So basically, the would you say the white line on the left is the track cut?
It's probably the curb, the end of the
Okay,
curve.
so yeah, when you get inside the curve, yeah.
Yeah, this is perfectly fine. This is legal. Slab was valid. So let's just gonna try it. This is perfectly fine. So you could cut it a lot. If it happened that you cut it too much and you go too much on the left of the curve, just lift. Just lift for like a second and we'll just give you a warning instead of getting you a no, it will give you a no time gain instead of the warning. So you better lose like a second, not even a second, than getting your track running and then get a walkthrough. Because if you get the drive through here, this pit lane is long, so you will lose a bunch of time. I don't know how long is it to do the run. I never checked, but I can guarantee you're gonna lose less if you lift because you think you're gonna get a warning. If you're not comfortable to do it flat, you could always lift just a tiny bit, and you will do the Eau Rouge and Raidillon fine. If during a race you don't want to risk it, just do a small lift like a 10-15% when after you turn. So after the first one,
I usually suggest that they lift just about when they get to the bottom of Eau Rouge to let the compression hold the car down and then bring a little bit of throttle back up as you climb the hill.
yeah, you could also
It seems to work really well.
yeah, you're gonna get the grip on the front and you should be able to do it. It's just tiny. You're gonna because since you're going uphill and it's pretty stiff, you're gonna lose a lot of speed. So you don't need to lift that much to be able to do it comfortably. Then you could use the track here on the exit too. You could go on that curve, it's fine. So you have plenty of room to turn it back to the left. Then turn off to the
If you guys noticed what kilometers an hour he shifted at and where he shifted into sixth gear. If you could go back to that just a little bit. Yeah, right about here. You're at already 254. That's quite quick coming up Raidillon, that's for damn sure. Top speed is a lot of... you've probably got about 10 or 12 kilometers an hour on me by the time I get to the top of the Camel Straight.
Yeah, if you do it flat, you're gonna gain a lot of speed. And if you could do at the top Eau Rouge and Raidillon, if you could straighten up the steering wheel, go in more a straight line, you're going to gain a lot of time on the car in front if you miss it a little bit, because if you keep your steering on the left and you just try to make the car turn, it will just not, or you're gonna just scrub all your speed because you're asking too much on the front of the car grip. You're just gonna continue straight. It's not even gonna turn, you're just gonna lose speed. So try to get the steering as straight as possible, and then you'll gain a lot of time.
Has anybody got any questions so far?
If you have questions, because this section Eau Rouge and Raidillon is a pretty tough one.
It is. It's almost what makes or breaks the lap too, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of time there. You could, because it's not even just, it start really at La Source. If you don't get a good exit at La Source, you're a long way before you brake. So if you start losing time at La Source, your delta will go down until you get to this braking point. Because all this section is pretty much where this is where you're gonna get the best chance to overtake someone too. If you do it right, you're gonna get so much more speed with the draft too, so it will make your pass a lot more easier.
So in turn, remember you have to brake earlier by the time you get to the other end too.
So one thing that you could try just for after the first corner, just concentrate on the exit. Make sure you have a good exit. If you have a good exit, you will have a good top speed for the Camel Straight. Watch it one more time. Another thing, so when you go to those small corner like here, you're going it slightly right, and on the top of the Eau Rouge and Raidillon, you have another right that is really small. You're still flat. Just keep your input on your steering like really gentle. There's no rush to go on the left or right. Just keep it just a tiny turn, so that way you just gonna get even more top speed. It's not much, but if you turn a lot, like
You get a lot of rolling resistance, right? The tires are kind of facing sideways versus straight.
Yeah, so just do minimal input on your steering. You don't want to have big input. Like it could make a difference of 1 or 2 kilometers. It doesn't seem much, but if you're trying to get every 10 of the lap, that's someplace you there and you can slightly tiny, no rush. You have a lot of time. And here, not even I just stay on the right, keep it slowly on the left. here to Lake Home. Braking point, the beginning of the curve on the left. My braking point will be here. You have the 100-meter, the curve on the left will be just a tiny bit from the inside view, a tiny bit before the beginning of the curve.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
What is your hand adjusting? Is that traction or ABS? What are you doing with your hand there?
I changed the brake bias for this corner.
Brake bias. I thought it was
I dare you to try it the first time up the hill.
No, I thought he didn't like the station. Changing radio.
That's funny.
Yeah, I changed the brake bias. I think I just did one click for this corner because I went down to one click for La Source first corner, and then this one was a little bit
Front bias?
Yeah, I changed the brake bias because this one, when I get to Lake Home, the rear want to pass me, so I just did one click and it was helping. And I think one more click I might have done at
one click to the rear.
I put a little bit more in the rear, yes.
Okay.
No, front. I went to 49.6 to 49.8. But you should, if you're not going to min-max, just don't touch a brake bias. I touch it on this lap, but it's really rare during the race. I don't want to mess it up, so I'm probably gonna set it higher, so like 50, 50.2.4, and just use that for the race. So I just need to brake a tiny bit earlier, but it's safer. But on this lap, I was just trying to push maximum. So come here, we're gonna try to brake again, straight line as possible. Brake hard. Turn. And go on this green stuff. Okay, let's go back to those two corners. So I'm gonna watch it from the outside. You want to brake and you want to go on this green on the right. So you could cut it there, it's fine. You're not gonna get right through, there's the grip. So you stay on the right. Because it's an SS, you want to compromise the first corner. So you could open up the second one and get a better exit. And this one, you don't want to go completely on the right after the left under here, because there's another like right turn right after that. So you exit like middle or a little bit less of the corner. So you could see here, stay in the middle, don't want to go too much, and then I turn it, and you want to put your front tire So you want to put your front tire to get just down the curve, like here. Front tire is probably, I guess. See, yeah, just underneath the curb. That will help rotate the front of the curb, the car. It will give you grip, so you have your tire like just past the curb. And if you do it right, it's really smooth. Like it's not gonna unbalance the car. I'm gonna check it after. I think this one is pretty smooth, but let's go. You want to have, it will help a lot for the grip. So then you just grab the front of the car and then you're gonna exit like middle of the track, and then you just keep steering left a bit. You want a car to get, you don't need to go on the curve on the left, you don't need to use all that track. Then here, just gonna back up a little bit. I did a short shift to the third gear. So watch. I'm gonna short shift to third, small lift, back on the throttle. So I'm short shifting to third to help rotate again and try to prevent some wheel spin on the next corner. So I'm just gonna do a lift and let's go inside and a lift, and when I get back to that green stuff, that's like my point for acceleration back. So I want to lift before, then when I get back, when I get on the curve on the green, I can just get back on throttle and do the exit. Gonna go watch it one more time, just full speed. And this is one of the sections that you could gain a lot of time. If you do this last corner right, you could gain a lot of time. It was surprising how much time you could gain or lose here, and it's not even a big straight after that, but you could still carry a lot of speed through this corner. Any question on this section?
You're staying away from the actual curb, though.
On this corner on the right?
Yes. Like you're hugging it, but because every time I get close to that curb, it feels like I slide off of it. You're right on. Well, not really. You're glancing.
He probably gets a half a tire up the curve, and that's about it.
I'm probably getting right all the way up on it.
Yeah, these curbs are fairly tall on the inside, like this one here with the green. If you get all the way up into the green, you're gonna lift the car quite a bit, and it's gonna change the aero that goes under the car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I go pretty much all the way up.
Oh yeah, that run is all the way up the trimmer curb.
I think maybe it's the short shift. Maybe I'm wheel spinning it out.
The short shift helped me because I was doing it in second before, and yeah, you could, because you have more torque, probably unbalance the car. I think I could hit the green concrete and still be fine, but I don't know if it will be faster or not. Probably, since it's
I think it's the shift. Yeah, I think it's the shift, because when I come off of there, I have a lot of wheel spin and it unsettles the back end.
Yeah.
And then I'm struggling.
Yeah. What car you're driving?
The Audi.
Yeah, I will try a short shift in the Audi. The mid-engine too, so.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Similar.
Should work. Next corner. It was not perfect. I went too wide on it, so I'll try to find another one after. Maybe we could take a look. But a breaking point will be the beginning of the curve again. Starting to turn, and then I went. We should be.
Can you double apex this corner fairly easily?
That's usually what I do a bit. Like here, it's a little bit too much, but I will go wide, a tiny bit wide. I will not hug the curve on the right all the way down, but I will do pretty much the same thing as this, but less.
Yeah, you'll be closer on that third green patch on the right.
I will hug this one. Oh, let's go a tiny bit back.
Because there's a total of 3 green patches on there, and the first one you want to be close. You fade out maybe half the width of the car and then come back in again.
Yeah. So you want to be close here. go a tiny bit there, like maybe like this. Carry the rest, and then you cut it back, maybe a tiny bit more. But then I was starting to slide a bit. This is a little bit too much of my taste for a perfect lap, but and then you go back inside. And since the next corner is coming pretty fast after that, the no name corner, I think, you don't want to use the curve on the left. You don't want to exit on the green and the curve. You want to keep it here, or even maybe like middle of the track, because it's coming so fast after that. So every time you have two fast corner, you compromise the first one to get a better exit on the next one. It was the same thing on Lecon. You don't want to exit too wide on the first one. And the next one, the braking point is not really a braking point. It's so hard to get it right, this one. So we'll go check. So I'm going to on the curve, and I do a tiny tap. I'm just doing a tap on the brake. It's really tiny. You'll see. I take a look at the brake input. And this was just half speed, so we're gonna take a look at full speed. You'll see it's really just a tap of the brake, and then you just need to be patient and coast. So a tiny touch of the brake, and then you're patient. You go on the curve, then you hold for the and use the track here. You could go really wide, but it's also an easy place to get track warning here. The track limit, it's the end of the curve, maybe a tiny bit on the green. Sometimes I did some lap, I thought it was invalidating, was still fine, so I will say the end of the curve you're fine. I still have space, like probably a tire that I could go wider and will still be fine. So use the exit. And be patient. And be quick on this corner. Tiny brake, and then patient. And then pull throttle and let the car go. Now, for this section, I will use... I just miss it. You see those red frame on the gate?
Yeah, those are the pass-throughs for the stewards on the track.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna use. I think I'm breaking between those two, yeah. So not the first one. This is the first one. There's nothing before. Between the first and the second. So when you are in the inside, just gonna back it up a little bit, just to find it.
You guys might think these are very difficult to see, but once you know they're there, and if you cruise around the track slowly and actually see them, you'll start to notice them more while you're driving. It's something you're going to see in your peripheral vision a whole lot easier.
Oh yeah, and if you are playing on a screen, you probably have a lot higher resolution than me. I'm playing on a VR, so I still see the pixel. It's not a great quality, and I still see it. So there's no problem to see it on screen or VR. So it's pretty much halfway between the first and the second, just before the little concrete thing that's there.
The Marshall stand, yeah.
If I look here, it's at the first gate that I'm starting to brake, but from inside the view you already passed that, so you cannot see it. But inside view look like middle of first and the second one. So you're gonna brake in the straight line. Be careful here. It's going down, turn left. It might be a little bit off camber. It's an easy corner to get the real slide and just ruin your tire. Do a big slide. So try to straight, and you're gonna release the brake, and then let the car turn. Let it turn. Be patient again. And when you see this small green stuff on the left, when you see it, not when you get on it. So when I see it, like here, that's my acceleration point. That's where I need to get back on throttle and be in full throttle and stay there for the rest of the corner. So here I'm back, full throttle. And if you want to have an idea if you do it right or not, by the end, go check your replay. By the end of this curve, you should be around 225 to between 223, 25 should be good. Say 226 here, 227. So if you are around that speed, that means you do it good. You went on throttle properly. Turn 13, braking point is when you get under this little bridge with the total, or a little bit before the start of the curve. I think I brake a little bit later on this one. I'm trying to push the limit. I'm gonna brake. We'll see. Yeah. I don't see the banner on top anymore, so I'm more looking at the curve for me. But it's when you get under it, not when you see it here. Here you're too far away, so when you get under that little bridge, kind of bridge, then you're gonna brake. Again, you brake hard, straight line. Let's just watch it from the outside for first one. So again, we got another like S, like we got previously from Lacombe, and even the exit of Witzel. So you don't want to exit too wide, just stay in the middle or even more right for this one. So I'm gonna hug the curve and I'm gonna stay on this side. And then I short shift to third gear here to let it go, but I don't full throttle the curve on the exit. So every time you see some SS like that, you always compromise the first one to get a better exit on the next one.
Minor question.
Yep.
So how you take the first curve of that SS, whether you take it in second or third gear, is dependent on the car, right?
Yeah, gear could depend on the car. Yeah, if you're on a strong car like the MG or something, might be in third. I don't know, not sure, never tried it. But yeah, it depends on the car. It could change one gear or not. Like the Bentley have a lot. You don't go too much on the second, or that could make a big difference, yeah. And I didn't do much on this lap, but you could use this curve. You could go on this concrete. Usually I go on the green on the right after the curb. Usually I go on top of that, and here it's fine. It's not upsetting the car or anything. Here we could go on the green a bit. So going to Stavlo. Breaking point again is the beginning of the curve. So there's a lot of beginning of the curve or breaking point on this track. Look like it worked pretty well. Check. Yeah, a little bit before the beginning. Gonna brake and let it go. Go on the right side. You could attack the curve a bit. Then you could use this one on the right a bit, and you back full throttle, and you're gonna stay full throttle here. From here to the last chicane, you should be full throttle. Next one, the turn 16, it's perfect. If you have the line right here, you could do the next corner flat easily. So to do it, you want to use all the track that we have available before they give us a warning. So use the here you're gonna use the exit. Go on the green, use it. It's there. Like the wheels are close to. If you're not touching like the grass, you should be fine for track one. It's probably. I'm guessing it's. Yeah, it's the end of the curve. So I probably have like an inch or two.
By the skin of your teeth, you're still in track.
Yeah, this is still valid, but this is on the limit. You want to be as close as possible to. Yeah, there's not much room.
Is this true in general for this track? It's not really the white line, but it's the curb. If it exists.
Yeah, it just depends on the corner.
This is legal lap all the way around, so yeah.
Yeah, this is a valid lap. So here you could use it. Don't use the white line here. Use the curb. You don't have to go that much. In a race, if I go there in a race because I made a mistake or something, I will probably be a tire before that, well, I guess, so you still have room to play. But if you're not using the track, you're not gonna get those fast signs. So you're allowed to use it, just use it. So I'm using every inch here. So I want to be as left as possible so I could cut on the right the next corner so I could stay flat. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go kiss the curb on the right.
What are you using as an apex point here? Are you using that light pole that's to the right there or slightly before it? I mean, as a visual, let's put it that way.
So, what do you mean, like when I'm gonna start a turn or?
No. I mean, usually when I come through this corner here, I used to have a very hard time determining where the apex would be for the corner. And I found that this light pole that's to the right here, just inside the guardrail, is a good reference point to look for.
Yeah.
Is that sort of the same general vicinity of what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that is middle of the corner. Yeah.
Pretty much the middle of corner. I'm gonna start after that. Yeah. Letting the car go left after this part. Yeah.
Because I know that I had a very hard time for the longest time by turning in early, you'd end up over there by that house.
Yeah, that's what I said. When I said the line here is really important, it is because it is really hard to get it right. If you turn too early, like you said, you're gonna end up here. If you don't turn at the right time, you could not make it flat. So it is a really hard one. It doesn't look that hard because the corner is flat. It's only flat if you could do it right. But if you're wrong, it's easily you're gonna be deported on the left. want to check something. Yeah, you see the end of the road on the right? That's where I'm starting to turn. I don't look at it when I'm racing, I'm just analyzing it right now because I'm just used to doing it. I don't look there, but that could be one point you could start to think, now I need to start aiming for the curve on the right. See, I'm starting to turn now. And generally you want to be on the bottom of here. There's like a flat part of this curve on the bottom. So you want to be on this. I think this lap I went a little bit on it. Just need to be careful. If you go on it, it could swing your car if you go too much on it, depending on the car. The McLaren could be tricky. I think I went on it a bit. It could also help, like, give a little bit rotation on the car. Yeah, I went a little bit, but not much. And then you just let the car go after that. See, I'm starting to let it go. And use the curve on the exit.
One thing to notice, guys, go back to the beginning of that corner, if you would, please.
Here.
Once he sets the angle, he does not adjust it much, if at all. And this is kind of what I would tell you guys about, setting the angle and holding it and trusting it. When the car has the proper amount of grip and you've got the wheel turned the correct amount, it'll follow unless you have an issue or you've gone in too fast. But when you set the angle, once you turn in, just hold that angle and trust the grip that you got.
Yeah, you want to have less possible movement on the steering wheel. You don't want to correct too much. If you have to, you need to, you correct it, but try to find a line. And the exit of this one, the track limit will also be, I think, the curb on the left. So if you pass the curb, just like Eau Rouge and Raidillon, just do a lift, a tiny lift, and we'll give you no time gain. So when you get to Blanchimont in 2018, it's flat. Don't lift here. Try to never lift here. If you're in the drive, if you're in the range, it's a different story. But if you lift, it could be really dangerous. You could lose the control of the car easily here. So now approach it from the outside. So you go flat. Let the car go right along the green is fine.
If you lift here, it changes the balance of the car and it messes up the aero, and the car will turn around on you through that corner.
Yeah. So here the track limit, I think, is the white line. If you go past the white line on the right, you could get a track warning here. You want to go close, but close to the curve. Don't go on this one. You don't need to, and go close, but don't go on it. It's too steep. You're going so fast. You could unbalance the car, and you end up in the wall, and your race is pretty much done. On the exit, you have plenty of space to use it there. You could use more, probably more than what I just did. No, it's not too bad. You could even go a little bit wider. I think if you go back to the track for the end of the curve, but you could use the curve, but come back before the end of it. And last corner, like you see here, I'm still on the right of the track, and I did not go on the left to do it. This is on the outlap, so I'm gonna brake. I'm not gonna be on the left side to brake on the straight line. I'm gonna be on the straight line, like from here. I'm aiming like the beginning of the curve. If you look, I'm like in an angle going there, and then I'm gonna turn a little bit the car at the end. Just because if
It makes the braking zone longer, actually, and it's more straight.
yeah, so that way you could brake later. So instead of braking point here, you have this white line that is the warning. It's you need to brake soon. You have the 150 meter brake. It's telling you now it's time to brake. So you will see it. It's like between those two. But I could do this because I'm odd lap mode. But during a race, someone following you, be careful. That could be interpreted as moving on braking because you're gonna be on the right side but moving on the left side. So just be careful during a race. But in quali or if there's nobody behind you, it's totally fine. Just going back. Gonna play it full speed, so you could brake it late here and try to carry a lot of speed because of one thing. When you get to here, to the first corner event, it's going up a bit, and this will, you could like go a little bit faster probably than you think, because when you release the gas here, it's a little bit, you're going up a bit, and that will slow the rest of the car. So use it. I'm gonna watch it from the inside. And use the exit as much as possible. Again, use the curve. You could go on it. This one is fine. So you see, it's going up quite a bit here. So you use that to see I'm almost off the brake by now. And then I will just let the gravity do the rest here. So let's go check the braking point for this one. So get here, you'll see the white line. It's a sign you need to brake soon, and then after that you brake.
How far right of center are you between the corners here?
After the first one?
Yeah, right after the first right here. Where are you trying to place your car in the middle or slightly right of center?
I'll see.
Like, I mean, because you transition very quickly with your steering.
Yeah.
Usually I tell the guys to pay attention to that white line right there. You need to be aiming towards it when you come off that first corner, and it helps you it gives them a point of reference to where to look as far as, like, you know, from right to left. You should be aiming for the tip of that line.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I am. See, I'm still turning. Now I'm stopped. Almost not turning here. Yeah. Now I'm starting to turn left. And go as close as you could as those sausage curb. Don't go on it. Gonna kill your exit. And then back full throttle. And that's the lap. Is there any question on the lap? I'll go for the pit entry after that.
Just a general question. I noticed like you're braking, you're full red, and it never looks like you're engaging the ABS. Is that just good touch?
No, it shows up because of the replay. Notice how you can't see his tires and you can't see his pressures and the fuel and all that sort of thing. In the replay, it doesn't show it. Now, if he sent you the file, you'd be able to see the ABS activating.
Yeah, you don't see it because I triggered French here.
Okay. All right, I feel better now.
So it's there, you could use it.
That's like,
good question.
Yep.
I was like, oh my God, how did he not do that? Oh God.
No, those cars are built to use the traction control in ABS, so it's fine to use it a bit. Not, you don't want to overuse it because it's gonna kill your speed, but yeah, it's fine to use it.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any more questions before I go to the pit entry? Okay, pit entry, be careful. The speed you enter here is fine, but be careful when you turn. It's pretty tight pit entry. So I've seen people before like spinning right here and being right deblocking the
Completely
path.
left and right of the
Yeah.
in the middle, stuck between a wall. Yeah.
Yeah, they're stuck between both and trying to get
Yeah, I
out of
think
there.
I saw that happen during an iRacing session.
Yeah.
I mean, I like not playing it, it's just watching a video of it.
Yeah, so it's really narrow, so just be careful so you don't spin here and be stuck here. Have to teleport back to pit or something. But then you could go back on throttle, so you're gonna brake somewhere after those. You see the height on the post for the here is different, so you're gonna brake
Yeah, it drops
something.
down in height.
Yeah, you're gonna brake something somewhere around here. So if someone took out the pit limiter sign, you still have the marshal on the left. That's a safe
Also,
place.
remember, guys, too, when you come into this area here, there is no grip on pit lane. It's not like when you're out on track where you have the black, where the rubber is laid down on the track. This is a very slick piece of blacktop here.
So very long pit lane. We know we need to be careful with drive-through. This is not where you're gonna stop. You're gonna stop on the other side, and you should be able to do this hairpin flat with the pit limiter on. It should be fine. So stay on the left and just do it. You should. I think every car should be able to do it. So you're gonna get your pick box somewhere here, and for the exit, the acceleration lines here. You have your board. Be careful if someone took out the boards before the red gate, and you have the box, small little box on the left. So you're probably gonna shift in the second gear, and here when you get on top, you will need to lift up a little bit. You cannot do this one flat on the second gear. So lift up a little bit, and then after that you'll be good to go to be flat for the rest. And just be careful, this section is really bumpy as well.
I have never driven on Spa with this pit configuration. You are not kidding. That is very long.
Yeah, it is. That's why a drive-through here is very costly.
I guess you sure don't want to get a drive-through penalty here either.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
it takes forever.
I saw some series. There's other league that I race on that if you get a drive-through because track limit, they're just gonna add you like 30 seconds instead of driving to the pit lane because it's probably more than 30 seconds. Because we have live storing, so they could change, they could clear the penalty and just give you a 30-second. Any question on any part? I know this one was a longer one, but Spa is a long track, so sorry about that. Try to keep it a little bit shorter next time.
All the information that you put out is more than enough. Don't worry about the time, man. We got all the time in the world.
Is there any of you that's
Thanks.
camping on the server to practice?
Oh yeah,